Good morning, everyone. I was at a wedding last night, and it was very moving. Before the conclusion of the chuppah, they sang the Misha Berach for the soldiers, and everyone rose, and the bride and the groom swayed under the chuppah as we all prayed fervently for the protection of our chayalim and chayalot, and for the return of all the hostages. We're watching every day as more and more hostages are coming home to their families. And a matter of fact, there is a blessing that we say every single day. Blessed are you, God, Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech olam, King of the universe, Matir Asurim, who releases those who are bound in captivity. And what a feeling it is to say that every morning, during these days that we're watching captives, hostages coming home, and praying that more and more will come home until every last one will be returned to their families. But why do we say this blessing each and every day? Because when we're sleeping, we're in a state of passivity. Our body and our limbs are not moving. We're bound in captivity. We're like hostages physically. When we wake up, we become alive, and we could live, and we could function, and we could accomplish, and we could be productive. And so every morning we say, God, you released me from captivity. But furthermore, every one of us is a captive in one way or another. We all have limitations. We all have things that confine us, whether it's health, God forbid, whether it's finances, whether it's in happiness, whether it's in relationships. Some of us are praying to have children. Some of us are praying to be able to find our spouse. Some of us are praying to be able to find success and happiness. And so every one of us has some form of limitation. And so we thank God for constantly allowing us to go free from that which restricts and confines our fullest potential. But actually in this week's Torah portion, we have a story of an abduction of a Jewish person taken captive. And that was Jacob's daughter Dinah, who was abducted and kidnapped by Shechem and was also violated, raped. And we read the story of Shimon and Levi who devise a plan. And they say to the people of Shechem, if you want to take our sister, you all have to become Jewish. You have to circumcise yourselves before we could marry into your family. And they're so desperate to take Dinah as a wife that they all agreed to circumcise themselves. And then on the third day after the circumcision, when they're in excruciating pain, Shimon and Levi go and wipe out the whole city and free their sister Dinah for captivity. This is a very controversial story. We know that Jacob rebuked them on his deathbed. But the question is, if Shimon and Levi wanted to free their sister, why did they have to make them all go through a circumcision and tell them to convert? He could have said, fast for 3 days to atone for your sins. And after 3 days of fasting, when they were weak, they could have attacked the city and taken back their sister. Or they could have said, give us all your ammunition. They could have come up with another plan. Why have them all circumcise themselves? And there's a great rabbi in the 17th and 18th century. His name is Rabbi Eibeshitz. And he gives an answer which is fascinatingly relevant today. He said Shimon and Levi knew that there would be terrible condemnation for wiping out a whole city, for destroying the inhabitants of an entire town, just to free one Jewish woman. But they said, you know what, if they all convert to Judaism and then we're killing Jews, then nobody will condemn it. No one has a problem when you kill Jews. And while this interpretation sounds a little bit tongue-in-cheek, there's a lot of depth and truth to this interpretation, because we see today that if hostages are taken anywhere in the world, there's a cry for their freedom, for their release. But when Jewish people are taken hostage, Jewish children, Jewish boys and girls and elderly, there's silence from the world. Not only is there silence, but people actually rip down the signs of the chatufim, of the hostages. And when I remembered Rabbi Eibeshitz's interpretation, I said how true it is that any other country that goes to war to defend their citizens and to release their captives, they're supported. But when it's Jews and it's terrorists that are being killed to free the captives, then the world cries out. But if it's Jews no one seems to care. And it's all in this week's Torah portion. And so, as we watch the hostages come home, a part of us is being freed, because every Jew, part of their heart, like the necklaces they made in Israel, Halev Shali Shavui Ba'azah, which means my heart is captive in Gaza. 240 pieces of our heart is captive and captured and being held hostage in Gaza. And as we watch them come home one by one, a piece of our own heart is going free. And to live through these times and make this blessing every morning, thanking God as more and more hostages come home. I saw a video last week of a soldier who was tired on the front lines, and he went to sleep on top of his tank. And suddenly, another soldier comes and wakes him up. And instead of getting annoyed that he was woken up, he jumps up and hugs and embraces the other soldier. And then it was explained that this is a father and a son. The father was relocated to the front lines next to his son as a reservist. And he went looking for his son, and he found him sleeping on the tank. And when the son woke up and he saw his father, he hugged and he embraced him. We are all family in this fight. We are all brothers and sisters, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, grandmothers and grandchildren. We're this one big family. And therefore we rejoice when we see our brothers and sisters coming home. Blessed are you, God, who frees those who are in captivity. Have a wonderful day.